focus. They say true love liberates. But what happened in Bangalore on Tuesday wasn't love. A 25-year-old woman was stabbed to death by her former lover. She said no to his marriage proposal. He stabbed her 16 times in full public view in broad daylight. Let me get you the backstory before we move forward. The victim, she's on your screens, has been identified as Leela Nalamati. She worked at a healthcare company in East Bangalore. The accused was her former lover, a 28-year-old man called Dinakar. Both of them had been in a relationship for the last 5 years. The two had decided to get married, but the girl's family disapproved of this relationship. Dinakar belonged to a different caste, so the family had opposed. Leela then decided to call off this relationship under family pressure. Cut to Tuesday. Dinakar decided to take revenge. He came to Leela's office with a knife, which was hidden in his trouser. When she came out of the building, he confronted her. The two had a heated discussion, at the end of which Dinakar stabbed Leela. Not once, not twice, 16 times. Imagine the brutality of the crime. The cops say there are knife wounds on her stomach, her neck, her chest, and her shoulder as well. The accused was arrested from the spot, and Leela's body has now been sent for post-mortem. Leela's family is demanding justice for her. They've also criticized the state of law and order in the state. Listen in.
What exactly happened last evening? What is the police telling you?
I don't know the complete details yet, but actually yesterday night 6:30, my sister called me that her name is Pavitra. We call her Happy. So Happy has met with an accident, and my brother-in-law was not there. He went to his regular work, and he was not reachable. So she called me, and when I inquired with the local person who has called from the office, that they said that the issue is like somebody stabbed, and we don't know. They might be in a relationship, the person, but or not. We don't know any details, but stabbed. So when we came, then I called her, and then I started from Hyderabad to here, and we reached here, and we are trying to get the body. The parents have not seen the body as well, so we are trying to, at least get the body and do the formalities as soon as possible.
When you view an incident like this, you've lost someone very close to you, do you think that enough is being done for women's safety today in the country?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because see, she is an employee working in a company, and she was stabbed outside her company gate itself. It was not somewhere far. It was just stabbed outside the gate. Here, when it comes to the security for the woman, see, she is working in an MNC named Omega. And when she's working over there, it is company's responsibility to provide even the security for every employee, not just the woman. I say it is for every employee. It's the complete responsibility. She used to have a relationship quite past years back, and it's been after her breakup and everything happened. Also happened years back. She had moved on completely, and she's completely career focused, and she had a plan of getting married only to the person whom their parents choose. Because she has a clarity that already she had gone through all this, so she felt like okay, her parents will choose the right person for her life, and that is what she had a plan for. And all of a sudden, within a week, since a past week of time, he was trying to threaten her that he is going to come and kill her wherever she is. Okay. And she tried to get her address, and she somehow multiple times avoided her from getting near her, that accused guy. But here, he somehow got her address. He somehow got to know where she stays. But there, at that time, as she was in office, he directly been to office. He created a scene over there that she had to come down from her workplace.
Okay.
Let me go straight across to Neha Hebale, who is joining us from Bangalore. She's the one who's been tracking the story for us since morning. Neha, what the girl's friend is telling you is this, that this boy, Dinakar, had threatened Leela. He had threatened her. He had said he'll kill her if she doesn't marry him. Under a threat like this, did Leela approach the police at all? I ask you this question because, there have been instances in the past, especially in the Shraddha Walkar case, where we know that Shraddha had approached the police, but the police had failed to do anything about it.
Well, Well, Shreya, we spoke with the victim's family and her friends as well. Her friends who've been her friends for a very long time, almost a decade now, who've known her the best. And what they all, of course, said, at the time was that she was scared, which is why she'd not really approached the police prior to this, as she was, scared of what he may do. And she was scared that he may, in fact, come back for revenge if she files a complaint. Now, with that being said, of course, one way to view this entire incident itself is the fact that you had several people too over there, who were watching on as this horrific crime took place. Not one of them really, thought it important to raise an alarm over there. Unfortunately, you had several people standing there filming the entire incident. But what's most shocking is that not even one person, in fact, had really approached the cops over here. And as far as the victim is concerned, we understand that she had blocked this accused over here in concern on all social media platforms. She'd cut off all communication with him. She'd blocked several unknown numbers which he was calling her from. And just minutes before this entire incident took place, while the victim was on a call with her mother, the accused in concern has gone on to snatch her phone. He's even spoken to the mother here, trying to persuade the mother that he's the right match for her daughter. And after all of this, we're seeing a very heinous crime being committed there and a young woman losing her life merely because she rejected his advances.
Okay, Neha, we leave it there for the moment. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, you cannot look at this crime in isolation. It's part of a worrying list of cases we have seen in recent times. Cases where the partner ended up being the predator. We have discussed the Shraddha Walkar case in detail on this channel. Shraddha, was killed and chopped into 35 pieces by her live-in partner. Then there is the Nikki Yadav case as well. Nikki was killed by her boyfriend and stuffed inside a freezer. In Palghar, another live-in relationship killed. It killed a woman. The man stuffed her body inside a bed box. He was later arrested while trying to flee the state. Bangalore itself has reported a similar case in January. A BTech student was stabbed to death by a jilted lover at the Presidency College. The girl rejected his proposal, so he stabbed her to death. All these cases raise questions about women's safety in our country. Now, I know we usually talk about safety in public spaces, but what about safety at home? What about safety around your partner? I'm asking you these questions because of three very specific numbers that have caught our eye today as we were researching before coming for this story. Number one, more than 30% women worldwide are subjected to physical or sexual violence by their partner. 30%. That's 1 in 3 women worldwide. Number two, 38% of women who are murdered, they are murdered by their partners. 38% of all murders of women are done by their intimate partners. And number three, cruelty at home makes up more than 38% of all crimes against women in India. It is higher than molestation, eve-teasing, and all kinds of street crimes. So it's about time we ask some very uncomfortable questions. As our society regressed so much that women are now more unsafe with their partners, that the biggest threat to a woman is now her boyfriend or her ex-lover? These are questions that we need to think about. And what we also need to think about is whether women are making the fatal mistake of ignoring red flags in problematic relationships. Lalita Kumaramangalam is joining us on the broadcast. She's a former chief of the NCW. Dr. Harish Shetty is a psychiatrist. He's joining us on the broadcast. And Nirmal Kaur is a former IPS officer. Thank you all very much for joining us. Lalita Kumaramangalam, I have a list of such cases. Good evening to all of you. I have a list of such cases. It's not just Leela. We know in Uttar Pradesh, in Saharanpur, a young 18-year-old thinks nothing of going to the railway station and stabbing his girlfriend to death because she said no. A similar case happened in Bangalore itself, in Presidency College, where a jilted lover walks inside campus and stabs his girlfriend twice or thrice. She ultimately dies. We are seeing a similar case in Bangalore again in the case of Leela. I want to ask you, is there no fear of the law in this country where a man thinks it's perfectly okay to carry a knife to a woman's workplace and just stab her to death in broad daylight? How do you think you can get away with something like this?
Okay. Now, I think that we need to introspect really deeply. In this case, I'm not saying that law and order makes the cities of India safe for women, especially public spaces, in public spaces. But in this case, there are two things that very clearly show the callousness and the very almost ingrained, deeply ingrained patriarchy in this country. One, that onlookers merely callously took, they were taking videos, but nobody even bothered to make an emergency call to the police to ask for help. Two, that across the country, as you rightly pointed out, Lucknow, Chennai, Bombay, Bangalore, Delhi, everywhere, Timbuktu, if that was in India, men and boys seem to think that women do not have free choice. Now, I'm not saying that the reason given supposedly for her refusing this boy, if it was passed, is fair. But the point is not that. The point is that she had the right to reject somebody if she felt that she was making a mistake, even if it was under pressure from her family. Nobody has the right to refuse anybody. And we keep saying, we keep tom-tomming that we are a democracy. But the community that is still really hasn't seen much democracy, any sort of freedom when it comes to choice, any choice, are women across the board. Yes, you have, degrees of maybe women who are sex workers or from the Dalit community, etc. There, we call it a triple or a quadruple burden. But the fact is that 99.9% of women, even today, are beaten up at home, are raped by relatives and friends, are murdered in broad daylight, etc., etc., etc. And none of us want to introspect and see where, as a society, we have gone wrong. This is a cultural and a societal malaise, disease. Again, let me make it clear that I'm not saying, I think the laws also, sometimes personally, I feel that we should just cancel bail for all murderers, regardless. The concept of bail after somebody has murdered somebody else, why does it exist? Why do our courts, say that, oh, they are human? I mean, look at the sort of bail that has been given across the board. In Hyderabad, they say the boy has to ask his mother. In Delhi, they say that, oh, a murderer after 15 years, after all, he also has a life. The girl he murdered, raped and murdered, is dead and gone long time back. She'll never come back to life. There are endless reasons for this. But one of the deepest things where we need to introspect is, as families, as societies, and as a country, how have we become so callous? We talk and talk and talk. But when it comes to actually implementing or even lending a helping hand, like in this case, nobody wants to take the responsibility. This is also, I think, where we have very deeply...
that is something I want to talk about. No, that is something I want to talk about, but that is part 2 of my discussion. Part 1 is about a woman having the right to say no, but toxic masculinity refusing to accept it. And therefore, can I just ask Nirmal Kaur, look, there will be anger not just as far as the family of Leela is concerned. There will be anger in every household where a girl has been heckled and harassed and troubled and molested, not necessarily murdered like Leela was. Nirmal Kaur, then I ask you this, given how long justice takes in this country, that is instant justice then the only way? Is bulldozer justice the only way? It is not something I agree with. I don't agree with a bulldozer going to people's homes and breaking it down, but it is something that has happened in Saharanpur. A rape accused, missing, refusing to surrender, the government sends in the bulldozers to his house, and well, he does surrender. I'm just wondering that, what is a deterrence here? Is death a deterrence here? Are bulldozers a deterrence here? Because justice seems to be evasive. You never see it happening. I mean, God knows how long we had to wait to see Nirbhaya's rapist hang.
Yes, that is true. Justice, if you delay justice, it is like denying justice. Justice delayed is justice denied. And people, only respond to fear, and they only respond to, force. If voluntarily or by rule of law or in the normal course of things, no one either surrenders or they run away, because they're powerful people who are committing these crimes. They have networks, they run away somewhere, they are never to be found, even if the police raid sincerely. Then what happens is that this kind of possessive behavior, like in this case, in the current case with this Leela Pavitra, and like in so many other cases, men think they somehow own the woman, She's there for, just for them to own, use, and destroy if she fails to meet their purpose anymore. Like Shraddha was and many others were, Nikki was, and many other girls are destroyed like that. It's a use and destroy for them. And, this girl refused his advances. She doesn't want to marry him, period. Matters over. I mean, but men think a woman has no free choice. She's there for them, the object of their desires, if she has to somehow give in. Like we saw, there was a case in Dumka also in which a very young girl, about 14, 15, 16, less than 16 perhaps, petrol was, from the window, petrol was thrown on her and she was burnt alive. These are the kind of horrific things which are happening. This is all about, exerting possession or force or, a lot of ill will. It has nothing to do with love. It is not a case of love murder or whatever, like Pavitra's murder.
This is certainly not love.
It is not
this
love.
Is certainly not love. This is absolutely certainly not love. But Dr. Harish Shetty, in case after case that we have profiled here on Mirror now, starting with the Shraddha Walkar case, there is one common thread. And that common thread is that there have been red flags in these relationships. And yet, women have ignored those red flags. Had they possibly not ignored those red flags, they would have, I don't know, not ended up the way they have. Is that a fatal mistake women tend to make, not just in India, but across the world? You're so in love, you're so blinded by love, that you're not seeing these red flags that are waving, furiously in front of your eyes. You're just discarding everything because you're so much in love. In this case, for example, the young lady had been threatened before. She had been abused before.
There are 3-4 points which I would like to make. One is that India is in an epidemic of gloom and violence, suicides and violence. At the bottom of the pyramid and at the top, you have such events. What is very important for us to understand is that girls forget that aankhein khol ke pyar karo, dil khol ke hi nahi. Keep your eyes open when you fall in love, and this is something girls actually forget. Also, in an era of absolute anonymity, there's a great bystander apathy across the country, and the latent psychopaths are emboldened by this fact, and they believe nothing can happen. Along with that, you have latent psychopaths who also are emotionally blinded. So emotional blindness or emotional hijacking and the trait of psychopathy is a murder cocktail, and that is also happening. Apart from this, when you see one incident in one city, you see a repeat incident in a different city, similar or close to it. There's something about copycat killings and copycat murders which we need to look at. The girls and the girls' families generally do not believe in the police. Police will just take an NC. They will check if the person is very influential, whether he is a son of an MLA or an MP, and if not, they will just brush it aside. So there's an apathy, wave of apathy which is running across the country, and that also responsible for not providing security and timely actions. So girls generally do not open their eyes and fall in love. Dil khol ke nahi, aankhein khol ke pyar karna chahiye. There is absolute bystander. Nobody cares.
That's
for
a good
anybody.
point.
In a world where there is globalization, we are just running. And the cops only take up cases across the country when they find it's an influential person, or they would just brush it away. It's a combination of all factors, and latent psychopaths are having a field day.
Or if it's on social media.
Absolutely.
Or if it's on social media and it's going viral. That's the only way cops will take notice of this. But in this case, Lalita Kumaramangalam, I don't think we can blame the cops in Bangalore, because there was no complaint registered or filed against this man called Dinakar. I'm just wondering, do workplaces need to be made more accountable as well? After all, this young lady, Leela, was at work when the incident happened. He calls her out. She's stabbed 16 times. And yes, there is public apathy. People all around her are standing, making videos. No one bothers to call the police. But can the workplace be made, I don't know, more responsible, more accountable as well for the security of women?
But that a new law has been enacted just a couple of years ago, the Prevention of Sexual Harassment at the Workplace. It's called the POSH law. Now,
Correct.
in this case, she
Correct.
was not standing inside her office. She was outside. So legally, you can't blame the company where she worked. The fact is that it happened in public, in full broad daylight, in full public view. Here, unfortunately, we can neither blame the callous police or, a company that just looked the other way. Here, the fact is that this was just another one of those half-mad, psychopathic, good-for-nothing Indian men. I'm not saying men throughout the world are great in India. It's not a comparison. But some good-for-nothing loser who thinks that he owns the girl whom he was in a relationship and doesn't think of her as a person. There's no love in this. It's just a question of ego. It's that overpowering male ego, male patriarchal ego that makes men think that they are God's gift to, womankind, and that no woman has the guts to say no to them.
But what is the deterrence? I again ask you, is instant justice the deterrence? What is the deterrence? Is instant justice the deterrence? Is encounters like the one, they are encounters like the one we saw in Hyderabad, where a young medico was raped and killed by 5 men. Is that the way forward? Is bulldozers the way forward? Because otherwise, what do you have? You have men who will, in broad daylight, stab women, kill them and walk out on bail.
Look, I'm not saying all the policemen in this country are bad, or police people, including, I must include, there are lots of police women also. But the fact is that the police need to be also held more accountable. It is a fact that throughout the country, the common man will tell you that the police will not react if I'm not a VIP, or I don't threaten, say, in Delhi, everybody says, "Mujhe pata hai mera baap kaun hai?" How did this come up? How did this narrative even start? Because the common man does not think that they have access to justice and immediate justice. Immediate justice is at the, at the booth level, as we say, at the police station or on the road, wherever you are, right? Look at what happened to the girl who was dragged for so many kilometers and killed that night or over the New Year. There are innumerable stories like this. And there's not just one step that needs to be taken.
Or what happened?
We do need the state.
Or what happened in Indore? Or what happened in Indore with a 49-year-old college principal? Where a student who's out on bail, for assaulting another teacher, goes and sets his principal ablaze for something as minor as a mark sheet. So it's happening across age groups. It is happening across the country.
Shreya, maybe we need separate courts that deal with violence against women.
Fast-track courts, but we know.
Yeah, they are not fast-track. They're anything but fast-track,
no, we have fast-track courts.
But where are they fast-track?
Exactly. They're called fast-track courts, but they are anything but fast-track. Even in a high-profile case like Nirbhaya, it took more than 11 years.
Exactly.
And if it took more than 11 years for Nirbhaya, there is no hope for anyone else in this country.
Absolutely.
Mother. Absolutely. Captain Jaspal is calling us from Haryana. I don't have too much time to take. Give me a couple of minutes. I have 2 callers who are on the line with us. Let me start with Captain Jaspal, who's calling us from Haryana. Captain Jaspal, please go ahead.
Good evening, Shreya, and good evening to the panel. We are absolutely off the target. The real problem of the woman is she is not treated equal in her own house by her own mother. Nobody gives her the confidence that she can acquire weapons, she can carry chili powder, she can carry what she wants, and she can shoot. She is not to be given the property, right to property. Nobody prepares their daughters for this cruel word. And they say it is a prayadhan. They keep on nagging her till she dies one day. None of them, especially my mothers and ladies of the house, are not prepared to give them their freedom. Neither they can play, nor they can go out, nor they can do anything. Only thing they say is, you are a prayadhan, you don't bring bad name. Don't go outside the house. Don't do this. Don't do this. She is thoroughly confused by the mothers and the ladies of the house. They unnecessarily blame the gents. If they want, nobody can stop them from defending themselves. It is the mother of the girls who are responsible. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Lalita Kumaramangalam, do you agree? Essentially, what Captain Jaspal is saying is that that a girl's safety is in her hands. I don't think a girl's safety should be in her hands. A girl's safety
No,
is in the
let
hands
me
of society that she lives
no.
in.
Let me
Her
say.
friends, her
Let me
family,
say
her
that.
workplace. I mean, why should I train to defend myself? Why should I live in a country which is forcing me to train to defend myself?
Shreya, in part, I agree with him. We should train our girls to understand that that there are deterrents that they themselves, if pushed to that point, can use to protect themselves. I'm not saying that it's good or bad, but we should teach our young girls to use chili powder and that spray and all of that, which we don't even talk about. But where I do agree is that, and I don't think it's just mothers who are at fault, so are fathers at fault. Where we don't teach
The
our
whole society.
girls that they have the right to protect themselves and they have the right to use force to protect themselves. Where all the time young girls are taught, no, 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 you will be, a family will be shamed. What will people say? What will society say? Blah, blah, blah. So we are from within our homes, we are disempowered. It's not a question of just empowering, it's a question of actively disempowering. That girls must keep quiet, girls must adjust, girls must do this, girls must do that. The same mothers will not teach their sons to respect their own sisters. I know, I have seen myself where brothers insult their sisters. This is also patriarchy. And this is how people, men, especially young boys and men, learn that they can get away without respecting women. So schools, families, society as a whole, everybody in a sense is at blame. And it's not just, I agree the mothers have a large role to play, but it's not just the mothers, it's all of us too. What about all those guys or women, people who are standing on the road just watching her being killed? Are they not at fault?
Of course they are. Have we become a nation of bystanders? That is a question we all need to ask ourselves. Have we become a nation of bystanders? We probably have. Dr. Harish Shetty, no normal person to my mind, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, will carry a knife in broad daylight and stab his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend 16 times, or chop a woman's body into 35 parts and store it in the fridge or the freezer. I'm assuming that these are not normal people. Correct me if I'm wrong. If they are not normal, how is it possible for women in these relationships not to know that? Today, you're on national television. Hopefully, many women who are in a relationship, married or otherwise, are watching you. What would you want to tell them? You're telling me bar that dil khol ke nahi, aankh khol ke pyar karo. When you say aankh khol ke pyar karo, what do you mean?
Absolutely. Let a girl realize that her boyfriend is not the best friend and the only friend. The girl has to have a circle of safety wherein she can be emotionally nude, where she can have friends with whom she will share even the small things which happen with their boyfriends. And then the people in the circle of safety or the safety net should aggressively respond to it and see to it that they coax the girl to take action, to file an NC and draw the girl away from possessive psychopaths. And that is the first thing. I would like to tell boys also that true love can never hate, true love can never kill, true love can never murder. Girls, please have a circle of safety. Your boyfriend is not the best friend at all. And that is, I think, very, very vital.
Okay, I think we can quickly take in two callers. We have Munish, who's calling us from Pune. Munish, please go ahead. Okay, Vanjeshwaran, I believe Vanjeshwaran is calling us as well. Please go ahead if you're on the line with us.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to say?
Yeah. Hello.
Okay, I guess not. Okay, go ahead. If there's anything you want to say, please go ahead. We can hear you.
Hello. I feel I have come from Mumbai and right now in Bengaluru for the last 2 years. I find the situation is very grim because there is no support system here. Most of the people are from outside and, the rented buildings they are staying. There is no communication and they are not even interacting with their own parents frequently. Hello?
That's a good point you make. That's a good point you make, and that is a point that was being made by Lalita Kumaramangalam as well. That there is a certain degree of isolation when young people travel to, bigger cities away from their homes. They are living with their friends, their boyfriends. They are isolated. They don't know anyone in the city, right? Except maybe people in their workplace. They don't know their neighbors. There is no effort in big cities for you to know your neighbors or to have a social circle outside of your friend circle. For example, people who live in your society, people who live in your colony. One of the things that girls need to do necessarily is to know who the beat constable in their area is and keep his number handy at all times. It'll save you one day. I think that's important. Yes, in this case, in Leela's case, maybe not, but we have seen other cases where had the girl been in conversation with her beat constable, maybe that number could have saved her life that day. We leave it there for the moment, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for this chat. Again, the big takeaway from what we have discussed in the last 30-odd minutes after Leela's case and after several such cases that we've seen in the last couple of months is this: in every relationship, there are red flags. Girls need to keep their eyes open to those red flags. We'll step into a quick break with that on the show. There's more coming up on the other side. Do stay with us.